Hey, good morning, YouTube. My name is Michael Williams. I was born and raised in St. John's, Newfoundland. I'm from a little community called Shea Heights. This is my YouTube channel. I try to deal with mental health, mental illness, and addiction. And the odd time, I'll poke a little video in there about justice, government, and the like. But this video, I want to talk a little bit about suicide and suicide attempts. In my life, I spent probably 35 years on the streets, robbing, stealing, lying, banging drugs. And I spent 21 years in federal prisons. I've attempted suicide in 1985. I was in Dorchester prison. I was down in the hole, and we were having a riot. We were burning the ranges. We had all our cells set afire. We had all the toilets ripped off the wall. We had all the beds ripped up out of the floors. And we had everything burning. Our cells, our mattresses. We had all our clothes burning. And the water was running down the range. I felt so disheartened. I felt so discouraged. I felt so alone. I was 19 years old, down in the depths of hell of a prison cell, into the hole. Freezing cold, windows beat out of the cells, water running everywhere, toilets ripped off the walls, our blankets and mattresses were afire. So my first suicide attempt, I grabbed a razor blade and I started slashing my arms. Now looking back, I think it was more of a cry for help more than a suicide attempt. But either way you look at it, I had a lot on my mind. I was going through a lot of pain, away from my family, a young man, and I tried to attempt suicide. Gladly I never did it, and gladly I'm still here alive today. And then in 1996, I was in Renews Penitentiary. We had a beef inside of the prison with the guys, them three guys that shot them 5 people from McDonald's in Nova Scotia. One of them thought he was a tough guy, and he wanted to fight me. We fought in the dining room in front of everybody. I beat him halfway around the dining room and I almost killed him. Then they wanted to try to kill me again. Instead of him and his partners, 3 of them were going to murder me. And a man come up in the back of my ear and whispered in my ear, he said, when the range doors opens, they're going to murder you. So I grabbed the television and I beat it off the back of Brad Fourier's head. And all the guards come rushing me. And the inmates downstairs wanted to get up to kill me. Everybody got in their cells and the guards come and got me. And they put me in a cell. And they were having a riot. They were trying to get in to get me, to murder me. I was so overwhelmed, I attempted suicide with a rope. But the guards come, cut me down, got me out, and got me back to life. And then they shipped me out of the prison. I had 2 suicide attempts in my life. I know a lot of my friends on Shea Heights has committed suicide. I haven't mentioned any names. I know a lot of people down in Froud Avenue and the blacks committed suicide. I know a lot of people in Buckmaster Circle, Mundy Pan, Virginia Park, goes, suicide is a national crisis around the world. And sometimes I understand suicide and sometimes I don't understand suicide. But I know one thing, we should have suicide prevention at a high time. It's a high time now. Suicide started being at the forefront of mental illness. Drug addiction, suicide. It's an awful tragedy. Gone too soon. Wasted talent. The pain that somebody must be feeling in their minds to commit suicide is something I can't fathom. It's something I'm speechless about. And it's something I could never understand. Even though I have myself have attempted suicide. And who knows yet. But I try every day with my mental illness and my drug addiction, the negativity in my mind, I try to not let it overbear me and overwhelm me. Even sometimes I used to smoke the crack cocaine and be high on drugs. That was the highest time for my suicide thinking, is being on drugs. Mentally off of drugs, I'm be able to deal with it. I'm doing pretty good. I'm home today from work because I'm really sick. I'm not feeling good. But just something came over my mind about mental illness, drug addiction, and suicide. It's a waste of talent. Way gone too soon. We must have more support. We must have more understanding. Conflict resolution is a big thing in life. A lot of kids get so overwhelmed. A lot of adults get so overwhelmed in relationships. Financially, over their jobs, relationships, early childhood deaths in the family. Who knows what brings on the suicide? Who knows what that person has going on in their minds? But it's high time to stop pointing the finger. Stop judging. Stop ridiculing. Stop putting pressure on people. Overwhelming people. We're only human beings. We're only capable of doing what we're able to do and no much more. Sometimes it gets so overbearing, I understand suicide. I contemplate it often. I had family members tell me they were surprised I've never committed suicide yet. I've actually had family members tell me that. So I'm just letting you know, this is just a little video about suicide. It's a really struggling battle, mentally. It's a mental disease. How do I know? I've attempted it a couple of times. Suicide can be prevented. Or maybe not. Who am I to judge? Who am I to say? But I know one thing. Suicide is a very, very, very sin. Very sad. And very heart-wrenching to the family and the friends. I know one thing. I wish I had the courage and I wish I had the strength. But I know I don't got the courage and the strength. Or maybe my brain is not overwhelmed yet. Whatever the reason, there's no pointing the finger. Suicide is such a sad disease. It's a mental illness at the finest and the highest quality when one takes one's life. I just know one thing. I have some of my friends that committed suicide. And I daily pray for them. I ask for forgiveness of their sins. I ask forgiveness of taking the spirit. Because when you take your life, you're taking your spirit. And you got it locked into eternity. I just pray that we understand suicide. We put more thought into suicide. We put more funding into suicide. Let's try to understand, let's try to help, and let's try to be there. I just know one thing. If I happen to commit suicide, at the end of the day, it was my decision, nobody else's. I'm not taking it lightly, and this is a very serious video. Because suicide not only hurts and ruins your life, it ruins and hurts the ones you left behind. But sometimes the suicide attempt is so overbearing, the thoughts are so overpowering, you're at your last. Especially on drugs. When you're on drugs, it just amps up suicide. And I just wanted to let you know that when you're on drugs, suicide is a very high probability. And we must get more understanding. We must start sharing. We must start talking. Mental illness is a very serious issue. There's a lot of people's pride. And that's what it boils down to. Men don't talk. We're supposed to hold it in. Not me, I cry. I talk about it, I don't hold it in. Everybody's been telling me for years to shut my mouth on Facebook. Everybody's telling me now to shut up on YouTube. But I'll never go nowhere. Because I'm somebody's son. God loves me. And I don't care how you get over this. There's doctors. There's treatment. Reach out to help. Reach out to ask. Maybe I haven't got the right choice of words. Maybe I'm not speaking properly. But I'm just very overwhelmed with suicide. I just know it's prevalent in our society. I know it's a big burden on our families that we leave behind. I just know mental illness needs to be addressed. Especially with addiction on top of that. God bless Newfoundland. God bless St. John's. God bless Shea Heights. And just to let everybody know, we need to get government officials involved. We need to get community leaders involved. We need to get a group, communities, everybody, school. We got to stop judging each other. We got to stop pointing the fingers. Maybe you got more money than my son, but don't brag because you're rich and you got fancy clothes and you got fancy cars. Stop the bullying. Stop pointing the fingers. Stop the gossiping. That's what's happening in our society today. Our children are being overwhelmed. Today is about what you're wearing and what you got. It's got nothing to do with about you as an individual and as a person. No matter what the person wears, they're still a valuable human being. They're still somebody's child. Stop gossiping about them. Stop pointing the fingers. Stop bringing rumors around. Come together as a community. Come together as a province. Come together as a country. Why not if one brother's hungry and one brother's rich? Why don't you share at the table? But I guess that's not the way society is going. So try to dig deep. If you got suicide intentions on your mind, probably go to a suicide prevention center. Reach out to a family. Reach out to a friend. Reach out to a teacher. Reach out to a police officer. Reach out to somebody in your community. Reach out to somebody. Reach out to anybody. Start praying. Because I know suicide is the final way. And once you're gone, there's no coming back. I know your pain is real. I know your suffering's real. I respect you. I honor you. I pray for you. And I just wanted to let you know, if you're ever contemplating suicide, dig deep and go to your family. Dig deep and go to your friends. Dig deep and go to your counselors. Dig deep and go to your school teachers. Dig deep and go to your community leaders. I pray for the suicide victim. I pray for their families. I pray for the communities. And I pray for the people that you left behind. Everybody pray for the suicide victim. Let's honor the suicide victim. Let's bless their families. Let's comfort their families. And always remember, and maybe take a kind word, a kind gesture, or a kind remark to uplift somebody, to give them a better lifting in life, better guidance, better road, maybe a better self-esteem. So I just wanted to let you know, suicide is real. It's a bad mental illness. And if you're tapping that with drug addiction, you're compounding the problem. Everybody take care. God bless. I'd appreciate it if you'd like to share my YouTube video. And if you got any comments about suicide, I appreciate to hear from you. Thank you and have a great day.